So, let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at the world and just wondered, why do people who work so incredibly hard, day in and day out, building a home from scratch, running a little shop, farming a piece of land, why do so many of them stay poor? It's like all that effort, all that sweat, it just leads to a dead end. It's one of the most gut-wrenching paradoxes out there. But what if I told you the reason has nothing to do with how hard they work or even what they own? What if the real problem is completely invisible? Because here's the crazy part. The world's poor aren't actually poor. No, seriously, they are sitting on an unbelievable amount of wealth. The economist Hernando de Soto and his team did the math, and they found that the assets held by the world's poor, but not, legally owned, is worth at least $9.3 trillion. Let that sink in. $9.3 trillion. That number is it's mind-blowing. It's more than 20 times all the foreign investment that flows into developing countries. It's basically the same value as every single company on the stock exchanges of the top 20 richest countries combined. So the whole question just flips on its head. It's not, why are they poor anymore? The real question is, why is all this wealth, this massive fortune, just locked away and completely useless? Welcome to Animeconomy. Today, we are cracking open a book that completely changed how we think about wealth and poverty, The Mystery of Capital by Hernando de Soto. And in this breakdown, we're going to get to the bottom of why capitalism just doesn't seem to be working for most people on the planet. We're going to expose the invisible wall that's keeping all that wealth frozen. We'll reveal the secret recipe the West has been using for centuries to turn a simple house into life-changing capital. And you're not going to believe this, but we'll see how America's own forgotten past holds the blueprint for fixing this whole mess. All right, so let's get into it. De Soto's entire idea kicks off with a pretty radical thought. The problem isn't poverty. The problem is that people are trapped. I mean, just picture it. Go to any sprawling city, any rural village, pretty much anywhere in the developing world. What do you see? You see people building stuff. You see little businesses buzzing with activity, land being farmed. These folks are anything but lazy. They are hustling, they're entrepreneurial, creating real value and real assets out of thin air. So yeah, the problem is definitely not a lack of assets. The real issue is that all these assets are kind of stuck in this weird economic purgatory. And De Soto has the perfect name for this. He calls it dead capital. Think about it like this. Imagine you own a house. You built it yourself, board by board, but you don't have an official piece of paper, a legal title that the government recognizes. Sure, you can live there, but you can't really sell it to anyone outside your immediate community because they have no legal proof you own it. You can't walk into a bank and get a loan against it to fund your dream business. It's useless as collateral. So even though your house is a real valuable thing, its economic life is, well, it's dead. It's just sitting there, frozen. And get this is the reality for the vast majority of people on this planet. So, how did we get here? How did the world split into two separate realities? One where property creates wealth, and one where it's just stuff. Well, De Soto has this great metaphor to help us understand it. He says it's like capitalism is operating inside a giant bell jar. Inside this bubble, you've got the formal economy. It's a private club, really. Property rights are crystal clear, contracts actually mean something, people have official IDs, credit scores, the whole 9 yards. All the big players, banks, corporations, the stock market, they all live and breathe inside this protected space. But outside the bell jar, that's where almost everyone else is, the extra-legal world. They have their own rules, sure, their own way of doing things, but they are totally cut off from all the power and protection of the system inside. You might be thinking, well, why don't people just get inside the bell jar? Great question. De Soto's team actually tried to do just that. They set up a little experiment in Peru. To legally register a small workshop, do everything by the book, it took them 289 days of bureaucracy and cost over $1,200. That's 31 times the monthly minimum wage. And for a house, to get a legal title for a house, get ready for this, 207 different steps at 52 different government offices, taking almost 7 years. It's insane. This bell jar doesn't have a welcome mat. It has a bureaucratic maze designed to make you give up. And this quote from De Soto just nails it. They have houses, but not titles, crops, but not deeds, businesses, but not statutes of incorporation. Their assets cannot be readily turned into capital. It's so tragic, right? The hustle is there, the assets are real, but that invisible legal framework that unlocks their potential, it's just not there for them. So they're stuck, operating in the shadows. And the fallout from this is just devastating. I mean, think about it. You can't get a loan to grow your business. You can't get insurance when disaster strikes. If someone screws you over in a deal, who do you turn to? There's no legal system to back you up. You're constantly looking over your shoulder, worried your home could be taken away. And forget about getting outside investors. How can you when you can't even prove you own your own business? It's a system that just suffocates any dream you might have, trapping entire families in poverty for generations. Okay, so that's the problem. Dead capital. But what's the solution? How do we bring it back to life? Well, according to De Soto, the West cracked this code centuries ago. They built this incredible conversion process that acts like a key, unlocking all the hidden value in everyday things. And this process has 6 almost magical powers. Now, don't just think of this as some boring checklist. This is a dynamic process. It's like an engine that transforms dead, useless assets into living, breathing capital. So let's break down how this engine actually works, piece by piece. First up, fixing economic potential. Okay, so a legal system takes your physical house with all its unique quirks, its location, what it's made of, and boils all that down into one clean, powerful idea, a legal title. Suddenly, the value of your house is represented on a piece of paper. It's something clear, visible, and usable in the wider economy, totally separate from the actual building. Power number 2 is all about integrating information. Think of the formal system as a massive, trustworthy public database. Out in the extra-legal world, figuring out who owns what is a total mess. It's all based on rumors and who you know. But this system sucks up all that scattered info, deeds, sales records, mortgages, and puts it all in one central, organized place. Boom. Suddenly there's trust. Doing business with a stranger isn't a massive gamble anymore. And that leads us straight to the third power, making people accountable. Outside the system, you're anonymous. Your reputation only goes so far. But inside, you're linked to your assets through a legal identity. You have a credit history, you have rights for sure, but you also have responsibilities. You're no longer just a face in the crowd, you're a player in the economic game, and you're held accountable for your moves. That makes you trustworthy. The fourth power is making assets fungible. Okay, that sounds complicated, but it's simple. Fungible just means interchangeable. Your house is unique, right? There's no other one like it. But its legal title, that's standardized. It represents value in the same way a $20 bill represents value. You can't trade a bedroom for a car engine, but you can easily trade the value represented by their titles. This is what makes capital liquid. It lets value flow like water through the economy. Okay, power number 5, networking people. With everything standardized, the system acts like a giant social network, but for your stuff. It connects your house, your business, your land to everyone else's in one massive interconnected system. And just like on social media, this network allows for huge collaborations and massive markets to form, letting people create way more value together than they ever could on their own. And last but not least, the 6th power, protecting transactions. This is the bedrock of it all. When the whole system is backed by the law, you can make deals without fear. You can buy something today knowing you'll still own it tomorrow. You can lend money because you know the deal is enforceable. This security, this trust, is what lets people plan for the future and make big investments. It's literally the foundation of a modern economy. So there you have it. Those 6 powers working together are the invisible engine that drives capitalism. It's how the West continuously creates wealth out of thin air. By the way, if this is clicking for you and you're finding this breakdown valuable, do me a favor and hit that like button. And maybe share this with someone who needs to understand how the world's economy really works. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds great in theory, but does it actually work? Well, De Soto's killer argument is that this isn't a theory, it's a history lesson. In fact, it's the forgotten story of how America itself became an economic giant. See, for a long time, the early US looked exactly like many developing nations do today. Most people were just squatters. They lived on land they didn't have a legal title for, operating completely outside the official system. They were, in every sense of the word, the original extra-legals. And turning that chaos into prosperity didn't happen overnight. It was a process. At first, you had settlers making up their own rules on the frontier. Stuff like tomahawk rights, where they'd literally just mark some trees to claim their land. Then, little by little, the government started to say, okay, we'll recognize some of these claims. And finally, it all came together with a big one, the Homestead Act of 1862. Now, this wasn't just some land giveaway. It was a massive nationwide project to bring all those extra-legal squatters into the formal system. It turned millions of people into legal property owners, and that right there unleashed the economic power that built America. And this is the mind-blowing lesson from America's own past. So many governments today look at their informal settlements and extra legal economies as a problem they need to get rid of. But what if they're looking at it all wrong? American history shows us that these people aren't the problem. They're the foundation of the solution. All their informal rules and agreements, that's the raw material you need to build a real inclusive property system from the ground up. Okay, let's bring this all home. As we get to the end here, let's just slow down a bit and think about the deeper meaning of all this. Because this book, The Mystery of Capital, it's not really just about economics. It's about what it even means to own something. We think of property as the actual house, the physical land. But De Soto shows us that the real power isn't in the bricks or the dirt. It's in an idea. It's in the shared agreement, the social contract that's represented by a simple title. That title is a concept that unlocks a hidden, parallel life for your property. It's life as capital. And that's why this matters so much. Without this system, your house is, well, it's just a shelter. But with it, it's an asset. It's the key to getting a loan to send your kids to college. Without the system, your business is just a daily grind to survive. With it, it can become a corporation, create jobs, and build wealth. It's the line between just getting by and actually having the tools to build a legacy. And that leaves us with one last really big question to think about. We talk all the time about freedom, right? Free markets, free speech. But if most of the world is locked out of the very system that lets them turn their hard work into something that lasts, are they really free? What does freedom even mean if you don't have the power to build your own future? I'd love to hear what you think about that down in the comments.
Thank you so much for watching.
Hey, if you're still here, that says something. It means you're not just casually curious. You are genuinely committed to understanding how the world actually works. And honestly, that kind of discipline, that alone puts you in a very small group of people. If you want more of this, make sure you subscribe to Animeconomy. Here, we turn these huge, complex ideas about economics and power into clear visual stories. The goal is simple: to help you understand the systems that shape your life so you can make smarter moves in your career and with your investments. And look, to really dive into these ideas, I can't recommend the book enough. If you want to check it out, I've dropped a link in the description where you can purchase The Mystery of Capital. All right, that's it for this one. Goodbye, and I'll see you in the next explainer.